Salafis waging war on the Sufis, and Sufis waging war on the Salafis. What we plan to do is to define who is the Salafi and define who is the Sufi, and to suggest how is it possible for the Sufi and the Salafi to come together, to live as brothers, and to jointly confront the enemy who is waging war on us. To define the Salafi is easy. He says, I want to live the way of life of the Aslaf, the early Muslims. And the Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, the best generation is mine. And then the one that comes after me. And then the one that comes after me. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. These three generations are referred to as the Aslaf. And the Salafi says, I want to return to the way of life of the Aslaf. This is something to be respected. This is something to be admired. This is something to be applauded. Particularly when Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam warned about Akhiru Zaman. Yushiku, hadith of Tirmizi, Yushiku an ya'ti ala an-nasi zaman. It will not be long before that time will come. La yabqa min al-Islam illa ismu. When nothing will remain of Islam but the name. Wa la yabqa min al-Qur'ani illa rasmu. And when nothing will remain of the Qur'an but the traces of the writing. Masajiduhum amiratun wa hiya kharabun min al-huda. In that age, Akhiru Zaman, the masajid are going to be grand structures, but devoid of guidance. Ulama'uhum, and the ulama of those people at that time, the religious scholars of Islam, sharrun nasi mimman tahta adimis sama, min indihim takhrujul fitna wa fihim ta'ud, will be the worst people beneath the sky. From them will emerge that which will be fitna, and they will become the centers of fitna, corrupting the people, bringing about divisions, disunity, a betrayal of the deen. And so the Salafi says, I don't want to go that way. I want to return to the original deen. And this is something commendable. When you go to the true Salafi, when you go to the Jama'ah of the true Salafi, to the extent that they are faithfully following the Aslaf, you will see something of how they used to live at that time. But I asked the Salafi, did the Aslaf use paper money? I don't think so. No, I think they'll take the paper money and throw it in the toilet. Did the Aslaf go and vote for an Islamic political party, fighting elections under a modern constitution of a modern state, which declares that sovereignty no longer belongs to Allah? That's Egypt, that's Tunisia, that's Libya, that's Turkey. that sovereignty now belongs to the state, and you are going to fight in elections after Mubarak has been removed in conditions that are very suspicious, and you are now going to enter into a marriage with the Egyptian armed forces, and you say you are Salafi? Is this the way of life of the Aslaf? Or should you not be struggling to restore the Khilafah? Struggling to restore Darul Islam? And so, yes, it is commendable that you should try to restore the way of life of the Aslaf. But I think you need a little help, because you're not seeing what we are seeing. You are blind. You are blind to the traps which have been laid for you in the modern age. You are following the Aslaf externally. Why don't you look at the Aslaf internally? Did the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam not say, and my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah, taught us when we were students in Pakistan, in Karachi, at the Alimia Institute of Islamic Studies. That's where I learned from him. And he repeated this hadith so often, that Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam warned. He said, "Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min, فَإِنَّهُ يَنْظُرُ بِنُورِ اللَّهِ." Fear the firasa, that wisdom which comes from internal, intuitive, spiritual insight. Fear the firasa of the mu'min. For when he sees with the nur of Allah. And that is Sufi. That is Tasawwuf. And it is time for the Sufis to be reminded about that. Because they are also using the same paper money. And they are also voting in elections. Every election they are voting. And yet they say we have the right Islam, and those fellows, they are wrong. What is Sufism? We have just another 2 minutes to introduce the subject of what is Sufism. The angel came and asked 5 questions. You remember? Number 5 was the Alamatus Sa'a, the signs of the last day. But question 1 was, what is Islam? And question 2 was, what is Iman? And then question 3 was, what is Al-Ihsan? And we heard an answer we never heard before. First time we ever heard this. When the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that Al-Ihsan is an ta'abud Allah ka'annaka tarah. That you should worship Allah, that you should serve Allah as though you were seeing Him. But it is not possible to see Him with these eyes. Lan tarani, says Allah in the Quran. Lan tarani, not with these eyes, you can never see me. But yes, with the heart you can see. فَإِنَّهَا La ta'amal absar, says Allah in the Quran. It's not these eyes that are blind. وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَلْ قُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. What is blind is the heart which is inside your chest. When faith enters into the heart, then nur enters into the heart. And then the heart can see what otherwise cannot be seen. That is Sufism. That is tasawwuf. And that is the highest stage of religion. Personally, I wish the word Sufism had never been invented. My life would have been easier. That we never had the word tasawwuf, my life would have been easier. All that we needed is al-ihsan, to be able to see with the heart that worships Allah what otherwise cannot be seen.